Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rizri Aldani. I am a student of Psychology Faculty of Persada Indonesia University. My number student is 212409091. Okay, today I will explain or I will read the topic for third assignment from Mr. Budiantoro. The topic today is about the psychodynamic and behavioral approaches. First, we will explain you about the psychodynamic approach. The idea that people's aggressiveness might stem from an inherited instinct was taken in a different direction by a famous physician, Sigmund Freud, who began to work about 15 years after the founding of Wundt's laboratory. Freud at first assumed that normal and abnormal behavior and mental processes have a physical cause somewhere in the nervous system. But Freud's work with people whose physical ailments had no apparent physical cause led him to create a new theory and form a treatment called psychoanalysis. His ideas are the foundation of the psychodynamic approach, which holds that our behavior and mental processes reflect constant and mostly unconscious struggles within each person. Usually, the struggles involve conflict between the impulse to satisfy instincts or wishes for food, sex, or recreation, for example, and the restrictions imposed by society. From this perspective, display of violence or hostility or even anxiety reflects the breakdown of civilizing defenses against the expressions of primitive urges. Next, the psychodynamic approach is far less influential in psychology today than in the past, and most of its adherents prefer a version of Freud's original theories. And still, Freud's ideas are critical to an understanding of contemporary views of personality, psychological disorders, and treatment. Sigmund Freud established the psychodynamics approach to human behavior and mental processes. In particular, he emphasized the role of instincts as a component of constant unconscious conflicts in the creation and alteration of human personality. The next topic is about the behavioral approach. In 1913, while Freud was pursuing his psychodynamic approach and gaining favor for American psychologists, a Harvard psychology professor named John B. Watson published a book called Psychology as a Behaviorist Views It. In it, Watson urged psychologists to ignore mental events, conscious as well as unconscious, and study instead only what they could observe directly. By focusing on observable or overt action, said Watson, psychologists would not have to rely on people's potentially distorted reports about themselves. He also urged that environmental influences, the things that happen after birth, are paramount in shaping who people are and what they do. Watson's views gave rise to the behavioral approach to psychology, which emphasized the idea that behavior and mental processes are primarily the result of learning. From this perspective, biological, genetic, and evolutionary factors provide the raw material on which rewards, punishment, and other experiences act, molding each person. Thus, behaviorists examine a person's learning history, the pattern of rewards and punishment to explain aggressive, dependent, or confident behavior. They assess that people can change problematic behaviors such as violence by unlearning old habits and developing new ones. For example, researchers using this approach have created programs to reduce antisocial behavior in children and to teach a violent criminal the social skills they need to interact with other people. Another Harvard psychologist, B.F. Skinner, spent decades perfecting methods for the functional analysis of behavior, mapping all the details of how rewards and punishment shape, maintain, and change behavior. His work helpful explain, for example, how children's unruly behavior in sometimes inadvertently encouraged bad attention, it attract from parents and teachers, and how some people's virtual addiction to gambling can result from the occasional and unpredictable rewards it brings. Skinner's contribution helped behaviorism maintain in the 1950 and 1960. The dominant position in psychological research it had enjoyed in the United States since 1920. For some psychologists, however, behaviorism exclusive focus on overt action made incomplete. They urge that we can never fully understand the nature of violence or altruism or any other behaviors for that matter without learning something about the thoughts that accompany them. Since the 1970s, many behaviorists have come to endorse a cognitive behavioral view, which adds the study of reportable mental processes to the traditional behavioral emphasis on overt behavior. Thus, the cognitive behavioral approach explores how learning affects the development of thoughts and beliefs, and how, in turn, there's learn cognitive patterns affect overt behavior. And the last, Skinner was the most notable contemporary champion of the behavioral approach to psychology. In spite of his reputation for being interested only in overt behaviors, Skinner recognized that mental events took place and could be important, but urged that they could not be studied directly. Okay, that's my assignment for Mr. Budiantoro for English and thank you for watching. Bye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.